Hiya, so I'm going to be talking about the sound source. The sound source, the vocal folds vibrate in response to airflow. So I'm going to start with the larynx. So our larynx is attached to our hyoid bone. It is located at the top of our trachea. There are muscles above the larynx that move the larynx upwards and downwards, and the muscles below which move it downwards. When the larynx is pulled down, so for instance when we yawn, the vocal tract becomes longer, and when the larynx is pulled up, so when we swallow, our vocal tract becomes shorter, and this also changes the pitch of air. So when it is pulled, the pitch of air becomes higher, and when it is longer, the vocal air becomes lower. Now, if I move on to parts of the sound source and larynx, I'm going to start by talking about the different cartilages. So the cricoid cartilage is a ring-shaped cartilage attached to our thyroid cartilage. The main role of this is to provide connectivity for different ligaments and muscles and the other cartilages. It facilitates the opening and closing of the air passageway and also assists in sound production. The cricoid moves up and backwards depending on which ligaments or muscles it is supporting at the time. It is located in our pharynx and it increases in size when it is moved backwards. In women it's about 11.6mm and in men it's about 15mm. Moving on to the thyroid cartilage. Each lobe of the thyroid cartilage is about 5cm long, 3cm wide and 2cm thick. It plays a very important role in voice production, but it is more visible in men than in women. It is the largest cartilage of them all. It is 4 to 6 centimetres in length. It helps protect the walls and the front part of our larynx. Like I said, protection and support for our vocal folds as well. And it provides vibration of the vocal folds which attach to the hyoid bone to help in voice production. It is also known as as I said earlier, it was more visible in men. That's what's known as their Adam's apple. Now, if I move on to the epiglottis cartilage, this is about 7 to 9mm in length and 0.15mm thick. It's an elastic cartilage lined up with a mucous membrane to form the epiglottis. This prevents food from entering the respiratory passageway, so our nose, pharynx, larynx and mouth. So during swallowing, the extractive muscles attached to the larynx move upwards, causing the epiglottis cartilage to flatten and cover. So basically, if this was our epiglottis, when we're eating, our epiglottis will close, so our food or drink don't go down our vocal tract to stop us from breathing, and then it will open to allow air through to go through to allow us to breathe. When food enters the esophagus, the extractive muscles relax and our respiratory passageway opens to allow us to breathe. Now, I'm going to move on to membranes. So there are 3 different membranes. I'm going to start by the thyroid membrane. This runs through the border of the thyroid cartilage to the bottom of our hyoid bone. It's a wide layer of tissue that attaches to the thyroid cartilage and to the hyoid bone. This membrane creates the state that is needed for the larynx to move upwards during when we swallow. Another membrane is our mucous membrane. The mucous membrane are tissues called stratified squamous epithelium that covers the inner walls of our larynx. The mucous membrane lines many structures of the voice, such as our mouth, nose, trachea, lungs and stomach, and the surface area of this membrane is 42 centimetres squared. Now, the last membrane would be the quadriangular membrane. This membrane consists of tissues that are able to return to its original shape, so they're non-elastic tissues. It is attached to the side of our arytenoid cartilage and the epiglottis. It's located just above the vocal folds, and it extends all the way through to the thyroid cartilage and the arytenoid cartilage, and it runs from side of the epiglottis all the way to the side of our arytenoid cartilage. Now that's enough of those. If I'm going to talk about the muscles of our larynx, there are extrinsip muscles. One second, let me just grab my book. There are extrinsip muscles and instructive muscles. So if I start with the instructive muscles, they serve two functions. They assist in swallowing and attach to the hyoid bone and larynx, and they play a part in voice production. If I just show you an image in this book, so this one here, here's our cartilage, so here's our thyroid cartilage, our epiglottis, our cricoid cartilage, and our arytenoid cartilage. This is what they look like. So our instructive muscles the function effectively is the larynx must not be obstructed by any muscular tension, and the role of and it helps in the role of swallowing and voice production. Now I'm going to talk about instructive muscles. If I just show you this image here, yes, it does look a bit confusing, but these are our instructive muscles. Now, there are 5 instructive muscles. These muscles move the arytenoid cartilages and adjust tension that is in the vocal folds and ligaments. This is our larynx, and these are the muscles inside our larynx. So these coloured wires are our muscles. So if I start by talking about our posterior-cricoid muscles, that's the red one here that goes through the side and in there. That muscle opens up our glottis. If I move on to this one here, this little one, it's only very small, this blue wire here, blue cord here, that is what we call the transverse arytenoid muscle, which closes the glottis. And if I talk about this one here, the purple one, this is what we call the lateral cricoid muscle, that's closed and partially moves the glottis in process of voice production and swallowing. Now, if you look at the yellow and the orange arrows and wires, that is what we call the cricoid muscles, which lengthen our vocal folds. Now, and this one here, which is like in a bit of an angle, this green one, this is what we call the thyroid muscles, which shorten our vocal folds. These muscles are also work with our vocal folds and help control the pitch of our voices when speaking a monologue or singing a song. I'm going to move on to talk about the epiglottis now. So the main function of the epiglottis is to seal off the windpipe during eating, so that the food isn't accidentally inhaled into our vocal tract. It also helps in the role of speech, and it acts as an articulator in the production of our vowels, so A, E, I, O, and U. It articulates against the pharynx, which is also known as our throat, the pharynx wall, during slow speech. The speech is generated through a narrow opening. During swallowing, the neck muscles lift the hyoid bone, which is our horseshoe-shaped bone in our neck. This then causes the epiglottis to flap down and block the airway. This then will divert the substance of drink or food to the esophagus. Now lastly, I've already mentioned it a couple of times, but just in a bit of detail, I'm going to talk about the hyoid bone. The tongue connects to our hyoid bone so it does not fall down our throat. It protects the esophagus and helps a range of movement in speaking and swallowing. And the hyoid bone is also a horseshoe-shaped bone in the front of our neck between the chin and our thyroid gland, and it aids the tongue's movement and the process of swallowing. It is only distantly articulated to the other bones by ligaments or muscles. Thank you very much.